Breaking news! Henny Sanders has dropped out of the race and will be endorsing Missy Rin-Tin-Tin. The Sanders campaign had a press conference earlier today. Let's show you the footage. There comes a time in every chicken's campaign when you have to think about the future of your eggs. Missy Rin-Tin-Tin has won the nomination, and I greatly look forward to working with her to advance on the key issues facing our country. We look forward to making strides in pet education and supporting equal rights for all pet kind. Issues very close to my heart. I'm proud to say that I'm with Missy. We can be pets together stronger. Or we can be pets stronger together.
And now we take you live to the final pet presidential debate. Hello, my name is Lester Holt. I want to welcome you all to the final pet presidential debate. I would like to remind the audience there'll be no howling, or pecking, or growling allowed. We want to cover as much information as possible, and we would not like any distractions. Now let me introduce to you our candidates for Pet President of the United States. First, Missy Rin-Tin-Tin. And next, Mr. Thunder T. Jump. Our first question is for you, Mr. Jump. If elected pet president, what would you do to improve shelters in this country? Look, we need to make our shelters great again. Now, is every dog adoptable? No. Some of the less attractive shelter dogs, for example. We need to be smarter with how we fund our shelters. Now, Missy wants to increase government funding for shelters, which is only going to increase our debt. She's going to raise your taxes. Look, that's a bad deal for America. I'm going to fix the shelter problems, and unlike Missy, I'm not going to do it with some poorly run government programs. She has no plan. I'm going to reallocate funding to make sure that the attractive American dogs, the adoptable ones, stay well groomed so they can find nice homes, the nice homes they deserve. Now, Missy has been in government for 30 dog years, and she has let shelters get overcrowded and run down. She increases spending and increases debt. Mr. Jump, your time is up. That's on her watch this is all happening. I want to point out how crooked she's been. She's used a private yard to bury secret government bones, and she stole that cake. A reminder to the audience, we need to stay on track. Mr. Jump, your time is up. She says it was careless? Well, I say she should be put in time out. Now let me finish. Missy barks a good game, but when it comes right down to it, she'll roll over for all her Bark Street friends every time. Miss Rin-Tin-Tin, would you like to respond?
There is a lot to digest there. Where do I start? Now, I do acknowledge that shelter conditions are not good right now, and there is work to be done to fix them. Now, what you need to do is ask yourself, who is the best dog to fix them? I have 30 years of experience.
Bad experience.
I know how to work with my fellow animals. Mr. Jump just likes to be an alpha dog who's too busy sniffing butts.
Wrong.
And cheating his workers to know that you cannot fix the shelter problem unless you put more money into it.
And you have no plan to pay for it. Mr. Jump, it's Miss Rin-Tin-Tin's turn to speak. How come you aren't telling her to stop talking? Why does she get more time? I find that very interesting. It's Miss Rin-Tin-Tin's turn to speak.
Thanks. Now, as I was saying, I do have a plan on how to pay for it. I will raise taxes on wealthy dogs. They should be paying their fair share on the luxury dog houses, designer dog collars, and Nylabones.
Wrong.
Now, Mr. Jump wants to question my record in public service. Go right ahead. While he was busy building overpriced dog hotels and cheating on his taxes, Barky O'Bow and I inherited an unprecedented financial debt when we took over office from George W. Wolf Bark administration. And we have turned things around. You can feel free to follow the live fact check on my website, www.IamWithMissy.com.
Thank you, Miss Rin Tin Tin. Let's move on to our next question. I think I should be allowed to respond to her comments. We really need to be moving on, Mr. Jump, but you have 15 seconds. I think I should get a minute, but okay. Secretary Rin Tin Tin commented on my overpriced dog hotels. I'd like to say all of my hotels were made under budget and have brought thousands of jobs for pet citizens of the U.S. I alone have the best name among the pets of the United States and the backing of several canine police units and military shepherds. Miss Rin Tin Tin has done nothing but cover up her own misdeeds and turn Afghan hounds against us. Thank you, Mr. Jump, but let's stay on topic. The topic was shelters in the U.S. Why don't you interrupt her? This system is rigged. I do not want to remind the audience again to keep it down. We are moving on to our next and final question. Many dogs in some shelters down south are facing euthanasia if a deadline passes where they remain unadopted. What improvements will you make to the system? Miss Rin Tin Tin, your question.
Thank you. What a great question. During my 30 dog years, I have repeatedly voted to do away with shelter euthanasia deadlines and grant amnesty for refugee dogs entering the system from our allied countries. Every dog living in the U.S. deserves the right to be adopted into a loving home. It is clearly stated in our pet constitution. We can work together to defeat this problem and in doing so create more jobs for our pet youth. We need to be broadcasting dogs, cats, etc., all over every facet of social media and promoting tax incentives to small families to adopt. What we do not need is certain candidates to use social media to slander certain dogs and start Twitter wars.
Wrong. Thank you, Miss Rin Tin Tin. Mr. Jump, your response. Thank you. I'd like to again mention all the good Missy's time in office has done us. None. But, Mr. Holt, I've seen these shelters. I've visited so many shelters over the last few weeks, you wouldn't believe it. Dogs there are unhappy, unloved, living in abysmal conditions. You wouldn't believe the conditions. Horrible. It has to stop. Missy wants us to work together as one. La-dee-da. I want us to get real. Do we all hate the euthanasia deadlines existing? Of course. But do we need to focus on getting dogs out of those shelters now? Strong, attractive dogs are getting passed over for refugee and illegal immigrant dogs. We need to make American shelters great again for American dogs. Thank you, Mr. Jump. That is all the time we have for tonight. Thank you to the candidates and to our audience. Don't forget to cast your vote today for the next Pet President of the United States. All proceeds will go to the United States Dogs of War. You can donate online at dogsonthefarm.com. Thank you and good night.